This is Brainy Podcasts with Soraya and Tracy, inspiring creativity and innovation through evidenced neuroscience.
Your article, I thought the other day, was really, really insightful and interesting on the 40-year swing. And I loved your visual as well about the swing and how it's the pendulum moving.
Thank you. I created that because I wanted to give it a visual in, I know it's weird, but we talk about the brain. It's how I saw it in my brain. And when I went back to the research that made me first discover this and start to learn about it, I was like, well, there's nothing out there that describes it in the way I saw it or understood it. So that's, hopefully that diagram helps show it. And it's great that you've said that, because it means that it works with other people's brains as well.
Yeah, it just helped give the whole visual idea of it, that things come around in a cycle, or like a pendulum, every 40 years.
Yeah, which is why they say we just don't learn from the past, because we're constantly adjusting, as it said in the article, from what the previous swing has done, and it's about correction until we get to overcorrection. So I had a fun idea. I thought, because we said we'd chat about it a bit more, and I thought we could discuss it through song, because we're underpinned by creativity. I thought it'd be quite fun to sort of look at it through lyrics and see what you thought, because you haven't seen any of my notes, and I thought that might be quite a fun way of describing it for those people that haven't read the article, hopefully to make them go and read it, but also so they can learn all the sort of nuts and bolts of the backdrop of how it comes to be and how it works in business. But for us today, I thought it'd be quite fun to look at lyrics, and it's how I learned it. So that's what gave me the idea. It's not like a revolutionary, because lyrics tell us about what people need at the time or what's around them in their environment. So that's why I thought that would be quite useful. They're very telling. Lyrics in songs, they don't date, but sometimes they come back in. And I think that's why we often see people do covers of old songs, because they suddenly connect with those lyrics, and it feels relevant and congruent.
It's good, because I was listening to 50s or 60s soul music, and it reminded me how masculine those days were, and women, it was the little women at home, and men dominated, really, didn't they? Romance and all that kind of stuff. It's all about the little woman. And I was like, whoa, that just is so bizarre.
Well, I've been doing a little chat and doing a bit of research on Google, but also with Gupta. For those of you who don't know who Gupta is, that's my ChatGPT. Gupta and I have been having a conversation about it, so we've been playing with lots of different ones. So interestingly, we were looking at the 40s, but the 40s and 50s era was really around collective resilience and assurance. Obviously, there was the war, and then post-war. So the cultural need was around togetherness, emotional steadiness during and after the war. And the swing phase was about community, safety, and shared endurance, which completely fits with what we know about that period. So they came up with Vera, Lynn and We'll Meet Again. So that was about hope and promise and staying positive in a really tricky period of life. So my notes from Gupta: collective hope, emotional containment, reassurance over ambition.
It was about people coming together, wasn't it? Not about ambition at that time.
And the other suggestion that Gupta had was Que Sera Sera by Doris Day.
My nana always used to sing that to me.
My grandma used to sing that to me. Did you know that my nan used to sing with Vera Lynn?
No.
Yeah, I've got photographs of my nan with Vera Lynn, so it's so
interesting. That's a
that
beautiful connection.
So that's how she met my granddad, who died in the war. He was in the RAF. He was a pilot, and and that he was a drummer, and he used to play in the band where she used to sing.
Oh wow, that's a lovely story.
So then we move into the 60s and 70s. So strapline really is about identity, freedom, and rebellion, which you can totally see in the language. So The Who was the example that Gupta gave me, which I liked. It was better than some of the Google stuff. Hope I Die Before I Get Old. Just struck me really well. And then also Imagine by John Lennon. Which is a different tone and a different mode. Imagine There's No Countries. such a powerful line. We can resonate with that today and what's going on now. And I think that's where the swing starts to show itself. What I meant about those lyrics becoming relevant again.
And also the Beatles were quite interesting because they were so experimental, weren't they, as well?
Yeah.
In the whole indie thing. In fact, today we're selling a sofa that Paul McCartney sat on.
Oh, that's coming out.
In Richard's editing company up in Soho. And Madonna sat in it too. Yeah, he was a really nice bloke, apparently.
She didn't feature, I'm afraid. I haven't got Madonna.
So she must be later, though, isn't she?
Yeah,
Rebellion, I would have thought.
Yeah. So it's basically a cultural desire to break away from authority and conforming. So, and it really just shows it through those lyrics. And you can imagine if we flip that into the business world, how challenging that was for leadership at the time.
But although very exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
New opportunities, innovation.
Look back at the 70s and how many amazing things were invented in the 70s that we're now talking about as retro. But we've learned so much from that innovation period that came along with it in business. We're showing it through lyrics here. But yeah, that's where you can start to see it come to life a little bit.
Yeah. And fashion. Of course.
Fashion, yeah. I could have done fashion, couldn't I?
Yeah, but the same. They all, if you just think of any of those singers and what they were wearing, that takes you through fashion, doesn't it?
Mary Mont's skirt.
Yeah. King's Road. Oh, yeah.
And the King's Road was just infamous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, wonderful. Yeah, so a bit of idealism coming in, a bit of freedom to go, what next, what's possible. All of that stuff that we say is so healthy for our brain. Was around that 60s and 70s period. They felt safe. I guess that's the other thing. We talk a lot about psycho safety, but they felt safe in their environment to be able to express and start thinking differently.
Yeah. But I guess they were quite rebels though, weren't they? Because not everybody could have that safety and be allowed to be that rebellious. But there was a group that kind of led it, really.
Yeah. So I thought that was quite fun.
Yeah.
And then the next swing phase is the 80s, which is where I started to put my shoulder pads on and start to have a career.
Yeah. Lipstick, all that big hair.
Thatcher. So this was about peak. This was peak swing, individualism, growth and achievement. So it was all about if you work hard and play hard, you achieve. You get more than the neighbour. So the examples that it gave, I only read the first one, was Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, which I thought was quite good. It's the Eye of the Tiger, that personal grit and winning mentality.
Yeah.
But Madonna was out of my screen. She was there with Material Girl.
That was such a revolutionary at the time, wasn't it? She was.
Video.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So living in a material world. So visibility, success of proof, shoulder pads.
Very, very female. It was a lot about female success.
There was, but we had our first ever female prime minister.
Yeah.
So love her or hate her, this woman's not for turning.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But she did. Not as much as Labour are doing right now.
I was about to say that, and then I thought I'm not going to say that because we'll get too political after the headlines this morning. Yeah.
Anyway, let's not go there. 90s and early noughties. Disillusion and question is the headline of this period. So the swing phase we're in is right in that transition, which is where we're starting to see the rough of that in the other way. So this is a correction period, questioning systems, authenticity over polish. I've got Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Here we are now, Entertain Us.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite good. So there's a bit of cynicism, discomfort.
Yeah.
I quite like that. So it's the pendulum wobble.
In that middle bit.
And then we've also got Everybody's Free, wear sunscreen.
Oh God, yeah, I worked on all that stuff.
Did you?
I did the whole J&J and Fitzbune advertising for sunscreen when it was really big. Yeah. So yeah. That was my one fantastic trip to the Seychelles because the script said open on white sandy beach.
I remember that advert.
Did you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. It's great.
It was what made me buy it as a sunscreen.
Oh, there you go. What? Yeah. The very good sunscreen, actually, really good.
Good job. You were good, weren't you? Okay.
Did my bit. Yeah.
So then we move into 2008, 2010. Remember, this was the financial crash period as well.
Yeah.
Meaning, belonging and repair. So the swing phase was about community again, and fairness and well-being starts to really creep in here. So reconnection after crisis.
Yep.
And emotional honesty. And this is one of my favorite songs that it's recommended. Coldplay, Fix You.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting. The one that they've suggested is Lights Will Guide You Home. But I always remember when you get what you want, but not what you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was good.
Now, how does that fit with where we are now, do you think?
Well, that's 2008 and 2010. So we're not, that's too recent. We've swung away from that.
Yeah.
Because that's all about that crisis. I guess the only thing that would have swung it slightly tighter is the pandemic.
Which would have created all those emotions, well-being.
Exactly. So brings that into focus again. Maybe that's why we're having such a treacherous time in this middle swing bit, because it's swung too quickly back. It's feeling a bit more acute.
Yeah. Very good point. That insecurity.
Yeah, because that hit us like a train, didn't it?
Yeah.
So the 20s, where we are now, we've got, there you go, overlap, tension, and self-definition. We're in a very, very messy overlap. And it feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
So agency and belonging, control and care is what we're trying to achieve here. It's what we're trying to do. And I love the example that Gupta gave me, which is Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I mean, you could not have Swiftie in there, could you? She's
no. Some of the girls' lyrics, actually, I was listening to who was the English one who won the other night. I was listening to her lyrics. She's really fantastic. They're very gentle, you know. They're very, very thoughtful. Almost kind of folkish.
Well, it is. Folk and country is becoming so popular now, and I think this is the reason why we want comfort from our songs.
Yeah.
We don't want anger. We don't want that disruption. We want that feeling of being safe.
Yeah, and so it's Olivia Dean I've been listening to.
Oh, Olivia Dean, yeah,
she's wonderful. But there's so much vulnerability in their songs.
Yeah,
there's a real sense of vulnerability and really wearing it on their heart, actually.
I was just about to say that vulnerability of themselves. They're investing so much in the song with themselves, laying it all out there, aren't they? And I think that's what, I don't know, it's so compelling that it just draws you in. So I thought that was quite a fun way.
Very interesting. So how do you see that showing up in business then at the moment now?
Well, I think that's why we're seeing such a turbulent crisis. So the article starts with leaning in, ironically, from the episode that we did with Jason around the Gen Zs and how we're having to adapt. We always talk about adapting and what we need to adopt.
Yeah.
And so I sort of started with that, and I don't like we neither of us put people in boxes. We don't like them, and they restrict people. They restrict their brains.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put another take on it, and that's what gave me the thinking of what's more helpful is those patterns and trends that we see in behavior, and that's what excites me and what my brain seeks out for. It's what I look for. So that's what led me into that. So it's around sort of not just looking at what Gen Z are doing, but looking at what's behind it and what that's really telling us about where leadership needs to be now and where it's going and where leaders need to adapt. And I think at the moment they've got this messy phase where they've perhaps, because you've also got to take it back to generations, you've still got a few boomers hanging on there in the workplace.
Yeah.
So they've been brought up with a very different mindset and things that drive and guide them to where we're seeing the Gen Zs. And as you mentioned in our podcast with Jason, that, you know, we've got alphas coming in that are showing that shift again. So we are heading back to that 80 individualism that you and I set our careers out in. It's coming over the corner.
But it's quite interesting because then if the 40 years is taking us back to the 60s and 70s, isn't it? And actually we were just saying there's a great sense of individualism and fashion and change and as you say, not putting people in boxes. But funny enough, people wanted to be in tribes, didn't they? Your band
Yes.
became your tribe. So
Yeah.
if you think about, David Bowie and Queen, for instance, two very different styles, but you either belong to one or the other, in a way, at that young period when you were just discovering this new music. And Bowie's style was so different, and Freddie Mercury was just amazing.
My
But
first concert
again,
I ever went to.
well, same as mine. Yeah, sneaked in actually. Don't tell anyone that.
You just
But
did.
again, so that individualism now, but people, we don't want to put people in boxes, but people want to know that they belong somewhere. They need
Yes.
their tribe.
But that's going to start fading out.
Yeah.
I think that's hit its peak now.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. I think we're slowly, I mean, we're not, when I say now, we're probably looking at a 5-year picture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be
So what will
interesting.
it become? More individual, more,
Yes. Yeah. So,
yeah.
what happened? We're now living with kind of what went on in the 70s. We're now going to start moving into the 80s.
So that's quite an interesting shift, isn't it, with AI? And what does that mean? So I was reading this morning that the birth rate is really dropping. And AI, for instance, is decimating the creative industries. And a lot of people are rushing in to use it, but they're not thinking strategically. That LinkedIn I sent you from Dan, who's talking about, are you just jumping into it, or are you actually taking the opportunity when you've offloaded the boring stuff to be able to think strategically about how you use AI? So in a way, your AI, because it can help you critically think and challenge you, you could argue that's going to make us even more individual. Because you call your AI Gupta, that's your friend, isn't it? That's your
Yeah.
and your ideas that come from that, you can flesh them out. You can look at them at a much deeper level.
I do, and it stretches me. It stretches
Yeah.
my thinking.
Yeah.
I threw this idea in, and it was like, that's a great way to look at it. That'll connect all the dots because
Yeah.
I fine-tuned my article. When I wrote my article, I then fine-tuned it with Gupta. And
Yeah.
I find I do it that way round rather than starting with them, because then it's not mine and it reads like AI. So I start with what I'm thinking and what I feel, then I put it in there to start the process of structure and alignment and all of those things.
That's why it's so good, that process you're using it for is actually stretching our brains, helping us to think
I
more
feel like I'm
cognitively.
delivering much better work as a result of, back in the day we'd go to copyright or you'd get someone to read over something.
Yeah.
So you kind of got that, but this does it at quite an acute high level.
Yeah.
And so if we're using it smart, we should be getting more out of ourselves, which means the end product is so much better than you'd have done just on your own.
Yeah. So the way both you and I use it, it is much more about our thinking partner.
Yes.
We can really explore what we're thinking and take it to a completely different level.
And I think in a more global picture, there are an awful lot of people that just replace stuff. But we started to see a mass turnout of churn of such obvious AI.
Yeah. So disappointing.
And I think that we're already rejecting that. Our brains are already, well, I mean, we naturally, don't we? We distort and delete along the way because otherwise we'd be an info overload.
Yeah.
And I think we're already going, no, not reading that because that's too AI produced.
But the other thing people don't realize is the brain is always looking for patterns. That's how it keeps its safety. So we are looking for patterns. We know the patterns from AI. Hence, you don't have the trust or the relationship with it because it's another pattern that you go, oh, okay, that person hasn't actually written that. That's not real. That's from AI. There's no heart there. There's no emotion because it's pattern led.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to say, hopefully that's been useful, and hopefully people that haven't read the article will go.
Please read it. It's very, very good.
It's on our website, brainycast.com.
Yeah.
Or if you have read it, and maybe this will give you another read with a slightly different lens on it because you've thought about it through different things. You can start to connect the music that we've suggested or your own, the lyrics that really stand out to you from different periods of time, and ask why. I think that would be quite useful.
Yeah. And also to think about where the correlations are with your business and the world now to where it was 40 years ago. What can you learn from that? What can you build on?
Yeah, and the people that were really useful to you at that time, in that moment of need, versus what you need today and tomorrow in order to create whatever your vision and goals are for the business, because you're probably going to need very different people with different mindsets and different capabilities.
Yeah, and that's the whole wonderful, what I believe, the real neurodiversity of all those brilliant different brains. Which is what we got with Paul at our latest podcast with Paul Copeland. Did you see how many awards he's won? He's winning awards all over the place for his films at the moment. But his way of thinking as a creative is completely different. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it put me in mind of the episode we did with Designate.
With Adam.
It shows up differently in both of them, but they have their same very unique way of looking at the world and looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Which is probably a definition of creativity in its own right.
Yeah.
And actually just wanted to bring that on because we've talked a lot about my article today, but I love your book and thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
And
Shall I show everyone what it is?
Yeah, please. Because one thing that doesn't really change is the curiosity of young brains and young minds. And they're going to be coming into our business in 20 years' time. So do you want to just talk about it and why? Also, you've got it published now, so starting to get some feedback, I should think.
It's on the Lulu website and it's going to be shortly on Amazon. So the book's called Welcome to Minesville, and it's about two brainy brains called Bertie and Betty, and they have children and adults who come to this beautiful place of Minesville to learn about their brains. And the reason I wrote it was you and I work with adults, working with their brains and helping them reshape it in the way they think. And there are so many problems with younger generations, with mental ill health and all the things that we know about, that I thought, why don't we start talking to children early? Because they need to understand their brains and how unique they are, how individual they are, how precious they are, and what they can achieve. And so it's a legacy to my grandchildren, because I now have two.
I can't wait to share it with mine when I get them.
Yeah, when you've got yours, like you because it's for schools, it's for educators, it's for parents. It's to start that whole conversation so children understand their feelings and their emotions.
Wouldn't it be amazing if nursery and primary schools have it as part of their repertoire, the way we had Janet and John?
Yeah, but I think what that will do for the children.
That's what I mean. I'm genuine. It's not just about getting your book sales up. No. It just changes the dynamic of the language the teachers start to have with the children.
Yeah. So I put questions in there so they can start asking questions with the children, and different techniques they can use for, like breathing when your emotions just appear and you don't understand them. So this is the first in the series, and the next one is going to be all about emotions and feelings and memories and where that all comes from. So but in a language and very proactive that children can understand.
Actually, I was quite surprised. There was still some quite punchy neuroscience language in there. But I love the way you described it. So things like the realization that everyone's different and that that's okay. There were some really nice things in there to encourage accepting of difference, accepting somebody else's opinion just because that's how you think may not be how somebody else thinks. There was some really good suggestions.
Thank you.
Drivers and direction for the children.
It's taken a lot of thought to get it right. And we've got Nippy the neurons, which are great, understanding the whole connectivity of the brain. And then we've got some other new characters I'm introducing as well in the next series.
And I didn't realize that in pregnancy, it's in that first sort of 12 weeks that the brain develops first.
Yeah.
So the neurons start to develop at around 8 weeks. The heavy lifting of your brain development happens in that first trimester.
There's so much we're just learning about, in terms of the brain through our life stage, I think is fascinating. When we talk about women's brains, how, people think post-menopause that, women are kind of washed up, and actually our brains are better because they're much more connected and they're much more, they've got rid of all the rubbish.
Yeah.
And the hormones have settled down. Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you. Fitting in with your article, this is where the learning becomes so important, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And people that are just relying on what they've always done, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to keep them safe or moving forward, if moving forward is what they want. As we have comfortably adopted, innovate or die.
Yep. I love it.
Nice way to leave that, I think.
Yeah. Well done. But please go and read Tracy's article because it's a good thinker.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoyed this episode? Listen to more at brainycasts.com.